What's up, everybody? Teague from Battle City Games here with another deck profile for y'all. Today we're going to be taking a look at Mitsurugi. With all the great support this deck got out of Alliance Insight, I do think that it's going to be a top contender for this format. But I wanted to bring y'all something a little bit different than Mitsurugi Ritual, which is probably the most common version you're going to see if you're looking the deck up on YouTube. I wanted to bring you Mitsurugi Azamina and highlight a few of the hidden synergies that the Azamina engine can have with this deck. I hope y'all enjoy, and I'd love to hear your thoughts about the synergies in the comments down below. So let's go ahead and get started. So, starting with the monsters, we do have the powerful new Ame no Habakiri no Mitsurugi. This is the ritual monster that was just added to the archetype, and it is everything the deck could have wanted. It has the ability in hand to reveal itself and special summon a Mitsurugi monster from your deck, and then immediately tribute a Mitsurugi that you control. So this is a starter or an extender. It can summon your Asaji and tribute it. It can summon the brand new Aramasa and tribute it. It is whatever you need it to be, and the fact that it keeps itself in hand after using that effect means that you can also ritual summon it later in the turn. Keep in mind that is a once per duel effect, which makes sense. It is extremely powerful, and if it was once per turn, I think this would be the undisputed best deck of the format. So I think once per duel was appropriate. You can either choose to use it to start your combos if you need to, or if you don't need it, you can save it for a powerful recovery option on turn 2. It does also have the on-field ability that all of your opponent's monsters lose 800 attack, which shouldn't be overlooked because with how big your Mitsurugi monsters are, it means you can get almost anything that your opponent's going to put on board. And then, like most Mitsurugi rituals, if it's tributed, you can add a Mitsurugi card from deck to hand, and then summon it back from the graveyard if it was already properly summoned. So extremely powerful card, absolutely a 3 of in every version of this deck you're going to play. Then for the other rituals, we are on 2 Ame no Murakumo no Mitsurugi. This is the Regeki on summon, and then once per turn when your opponent activates a card, you can choose to force them to discard another card or negate that card at resolution. So it taxes your opponent's resources a little bit more heavily, which as you get into a more and more simplified game state can become really, really detrimental to your opponent's ability to play the game. And then once again, if tributed, summons itself back, searches a card, summons itself back, and then on summon is when it gets that ability to destroy all of your opponent's monsters. Very powerful. We do play 2 of it because we want the ability to search one, but then also have a copy in deck for later as well. And then for the last ritual, we are on 1 Futsu no Mitame no Mitsurugi. This is technically probably the weakest, but anything other than Mitsurugi Ritual, it is still a crucial inclusion. Just the ability that once per chain, not even once per turn, once per chain, when your opponent special summons a monster while he's on board, you can summon a Mitsurugi from your graveyard. This is how the deck gets so much grind game. Just being able to summon back Asaji, Kusanagi, Aramasa, one of your rituals, the amount of advantage that you're going to build up on your opponent's turn means that even if they do break your board, you're going to have all the resources you need to play into their board again. And after having to play through your disruptions, it's probably going to be a subpar board that they have that you're playing into. So very powerful. You only do need the one. Typically, you're trying to summon him from deck with Ritual, but very powerful card. Then moving into the other Mitsurugi monsters, we are playing 3 of the brand new Mitsurugi no Mikoto Aramasa. This card is a 1-card starter. It can get you into your entire Mitsurugi combo just for normal summoning this card. On summon, normal summon, special summon, or tribute, he's going to add a Mitsurugi monster from deck to hand. So, of course, you can summon him. You can add your Habakiri from deck to hand. And then you can use Habakiri to summon Asaji, tribute to Asaji, search out your Mitsurugi Ritual, and you're off to the races from there. So very important card in the deck, and because he is a full 1-card starter, that's why we're choosing to play 3 copies. And then he does have the same effect as the other Mitsurugi monsters that are level 4, where if he's on board and a reptile monster or monsters you control will be destroyed, he can tribute himself instead. Then we are playing 2 copies of Mitsurugi no Mikoto Asaji. This is probably the second best of your level 4s. He gets you to any of your Mitsurugi spell or traps. So he's typically how you're getting to prayers, or to your Mitsurugi Ritual, or the Mitsurugi trap if you already have access to everything else. We're not on 3 copies because alone he is not technically a 1-card starter. There's a lot of 2-card combinations that play with him, but we're only on 2 copies because we don't want to end up with multiple copies of Aramasa and Saji in hand, if we can avoid it. And then for the last one, we are on 1 Kusanagi. Technically, Kusanagi is the weakest in the sense that he only recurs from graveyard or banish, so he's not going to start any of your plays, but he is crucial in being able to recycle your ritual and use it twice in 1 turn. Also for your grind game, again, summoning him back with Futsu and being able to pick cards back up, and being able to pick up your banished Mitsurugi cards as well is critical to your grind game. Moving on, like I mentioned, we're playing an Azamina version of the deck, which means we do need to play the 1 Diabell Star of a Black Witch. This is just how we're going to get to our Deception of the Sinful Spoils. We only need 1 copy, though, because, spoiler, we are playing 3 copies of Wanted, and we would rather have Wanted to get to Diabell Star so that we're getting a draw later in the turn versus just hard opening the Diabell Star. Then moving into the spells, one of the big boons that this deck received this format was the Mitsurugi Mirror that you'll see later. Because that card specifically mentions all 3 of your ritual monsters, we can now play Pre-Preparation of Rites in the deck to search Mirror plus any of the ritual monsters. So on top of receiving Aramasa, on top of receiving Habakiri, you also received the ability to play 3 more starters in Pre-Preparation of Rites, which is why I think that this deck is going to be as good as it is, because you just gained 9 new starters in the deck. And again, just the ability to activate this, grab Habakiri, and get off to the races is absolutely amazing, which is why we're playing it at 3. Then moving into your Mitsurugi spells, we are on Triple Prayers. Being a quick play that can search you a monster, and if you choose to tribute, also summon from hand or graveyard. It's just absolutely amazing. Again, this is one of your starters. You can activate this card in the draw phase, so this deck has a pretty big weakness to Droll and Lockbird inherently because of how the deck is designed. But if you open with this, you can activate it in draw phase, and you can at least set up some form of combo that will play around Droll and Lockbird. So even if you do get Droll in the first action you take in main phase, you will already have access to some of your more crucial Mitsurugi cards. So just an amazing card. Definitely a 3 of. It's something you always want to open with, and ideally also always want to end your turn with. And again, you can pick it up during your opponent's turn with Kusanagi if you need to, so that you have that powerful card to get when it gets back to your turn. Then we are on 2 copies of Mitsurugi Ritual. There's really no reason to play 3 copies of this card. Hard opening it alone does not do anything for you. It's recurable by Kusanagi, but you do want to have access to it, and the last thing you want is to not have access to it. So 2 is kind of the sweet spot for it that I've found with the deck. And then for the last Mitsurugi spell, we are playing the aforementioned Mitsurugi Mirror. Being able to ritual summon from hand or grave is great. Typically, if you're going full combo, you are going to use the ritual summon from grave effect on your first turn. And then this card does have the ability that when one of your ritual monsters is tributed from the field while this is in grave, it can shuffle itself back into deck. So that's why you only need 1 copy, because you can always put it back to activate Pre-Preparation of Rites again, to search it again. And it is important to note that because that will trigger on the same chain as the Mitsurugi Ritual you tributed for whatever effect, you can use this to chain block your Mitsurugi effects. You can go chain link 1 Futsu, for example, to summon itself back from the graveyard and search, and chain link 2 Mirror to shuffle itself back into the deck. So you insulate yourself from cards like Ash Blossom or Ghost Spell, and then you can even search this off of the Futsu in that case, which I like to do a lot of times to make sure that even if my board does get checked or cracked, I have the Mirror to summon back whatever I need from graveyard. Moving into the other spells in the deck, Like I mentioned, we are playing triple copies of Wanted Seeker of Sinful Spoils, just to get into our Diabell Star and be able to play the game. And then, of course, as part of the Azamina combo, we have the Hollowed Azamina and Deception of the Sinful Spoils. And the synergy that I mentioned previously, Deception of the Sinful Spoils, tributes a monster to search Hollowed Azamina. And what benefits off of being tributed? Our Mitsurugi cards. So if you open Wanted and get to your Diabell Star and get to Deception, or even if you hard open your Deception, you can use that to tribute your Mitsurugi and also start your Mitsurugi combo while searching your Hollowed Azamina. So it just makes it even better that you have the ability to trigger these cards off of this engine. So that's the synergy that we have there. And of course, setting up the Azamina Illy Sylvia before you go into your Mitsurugi combos just means that you're insulated from cards like Nibiru, like an Ash Blossom your opponent may have been holding. Whatever the case may be, that Illy Sylvia gives you the ability to combo. And of course, it's a great inboard piece if you don't need to use it to prevent a hand trap on your combo. Then for the last two spells, we have Called by the Grave, Crossite Designator. Again, this deck is very weak to Droll and Lockbird, so we have Called by the Grave for that. Spoiler, we're not main decking Droll and Lockbird. I chose to do that because going first, we really are not going to want to Droll our opponent in a lot of cases because we do so much searching on their turn as well. So I chose not to main deck Droll and Lockbird in this build. But Crossite Designator is still a great card for cards like Imperm, Ash Blossom, anything else that may overlap with your opponent's deck. So that's why it's still in here. And you can, of course, side deck for Droll and Lockbird. So when you know your opponent is siding in a Droll and Lockbird, or if you saw it in their main deck in Game 1, you can bring in your copies and now have a Crossite Designator live for that as well. Moving into the traps, we're playing the one Mitsurugi Great Purification. This is such a powerful card to set up on your first turn. Not only does it have the Omni-Negate effect by tributing a Mitsurugi, but the ability to banish from graveyard to summon something back is very powerful as well. Again, highly searchable and recurable, which is why we're only on one copy. But I definitely believe it's a worthy inclusion in the deck. Moving into the hand traps and other traps, we are taking advantage of the fact that we are a dark deck by playing Triple Dominus Impulse. If you have this card and you are playing a deck that can afford to play it, I recommend including it in your deck list this format. It's powerful against Mitsurugi, it's powerful against Malice, it's powerful against White Forest. It just is so good against so many different decks that you're going to see this format, that if you have the ability to play it, you should be. And because Mitsurugi is all dark, the Azamina line is all dark, we can very easily include this in our deck. We are on Triple Imperm, always just a powerful hand trap and a great inclusion in the deck. Then we're on Triple Ash Blossom. I think this card is better this format than it was last format because now Malice has more cards that search in it. So even against Malice, your Ash Blossom is going to be more live than it would have been last format. And then for the last three hand traps, we are on Triple Peruia. I think pretty much every deck should be main decking Amul Charmy this format, and I think Peruia is the one that hits the widest range of decks the best. Cards like Fuelos, Mitsurugi, and Malice can play around, giving at most 1 to 2 draws. Cards like Meowls, Ryzeal's not going to give you any draws off, or at most 1 draw. Peruia in the draw phase is 99% of the time always going to get you at least 1 draw back. And in most cases against Malice with backup at Ignister, against Mitsurugi, against Ryzeal, it's going to get you 2 to 3 draws. So I think it's the most versatile of this format, but if your local environment is different, you can always consider switching it out for Fuelos or Meowls instead. So now we're going to move into the extra deck real quick. So starting off with Link Monsters, we have Haggard Lizardos. Being a reptile, this is great. You can go into it, and whether you banish itself or any of your extra Mitsurugi cards in your graveyard, you can get the draw off of it. And going second, being able to use it to shrink an opponent's monster can be relevant. So it's just a nice option for a one-of. We're playing the 1 Reptilian Akidna. This is probably the biggest flex spot in the extra deck if you have something else you would like to include. But it is cute. You just need 1 reptile plus any other monster to go into it. When it's summoned, you can target opponent's monster, make its attack 0, so it can shrink something down. And then it has the ability to search reptile monsters from your deck to your hand, equal to the number of monsters your opponent controls with 0 attack. So it can get you into something like a Habakiri or anything along those lines. Again, it's just a cute option. Definitely consider it a flex spot. If you don't like it, play something else over it. Then we're playing 1 Dark Charmer. Again, our deck is entirely dark. We're expecting a lot of Mitsurugi Mirror matches. We're expecting a lot of Malice. So being able to, especially being able to take a Mitsurugi card from our opponent's graveyard can be very powerful. Then we're playing IP Mascarena. There's a lot of boards that you're going to set up where you may just have something like Ili Sylvia, Futsu, Habakiri, and Murakumo, or one of your level 4 Mitsurugi monsters. So you can turn 2 of those into an IP Mascarena, and then on your opponent's turn, Futsu can bring something back, and you can then link with that monster plus Mascarena to go into SP Little Knight. So it's really great to set up the Mascarena as an inboard piece. Then for the last link too, we are playing Rituals, so we are playing Diamondo. Keep in mind, if you impulse from hand, you can't use Diamondo's effects. But the ability on summon to shuffle back a ritual to spin an opponent's card back to deck when you have those additional Habakiri sitting in your graveyard can make use of those. And then the ability on the opponent's turn to tribute it and summon a ritual back from grave. You can summon this out, and then if you have a Murakumo live in grave, you can, on your opponent's turn, tribute this, summon out the Murakumo, and then the Murakumo will trigger to wipe your opponent's board. So cute things you can do there. And then for 1 link 4, we're playing Access Code. The Dark can help us climb into this. It's just another one of those flex spots. If you have cards you feel like you'd rather play over this, by all means. But it does give you the ability to go into this to clear boards, to push your game, whatever the case may be. For 1 Synchro, we're playing the Chaos Angel. So with our Azamina monsters from the extra deck, plus any of our level 4 Mitsurugi monsters, we can synchro into a Dark Chaos Angel, which gives us the battle protection for all of our monsters, as well as the banish. So just a powerful option that we have access to, specifically because we're playing the Azamina cards. Speaking of the Azamina cards, so we have the Ili Sylvia, we have the Marussia Lago, and we are playing the Scythian. Specifically, 1, because we have the space 2, and 2, because it gives us a good disruption option going second playing into a board with the Azamina cards versus going into one of these, which may not help disrupt the board as much. Being able to summon this and send something can be useful. And again, all 3 of these are level 6. Of course, you don't really want to synchro off your Ili Sylvia, but you can synchro off a Marussia Lago, or very powerfully go into Scythian, send a card, and then synchro into Chaos Angel to banish another card. So some cool plays you can do there. And we are playing all 3 of those for options. And of course, they are recyclable through Hollowed Azamina, so we only ever need 1 copy of each. Moving into the Exceeds, we're on 1 King of the Feral Imps. This should be all you ever really need, especially with the additional consistency the deck has now. You're not really going to find yourself in situations where you're needing to go into it multiple times, but it is still nice to have the 1 of in case you do need a specific reptile monster. And then the card brand new out of this set that I like, Code Igniter. So this is a generic rank 4 Cyberse monster, you may note, so it's not in the theme with reptiles. It has the ability, the only ability on this card that we care about, it can detach your material. Immediately after, you ritual summon a ritual monster from your hand by tributing monsters from your hand or field for that. So in the event that maybe our opponent stopped our Mitsurugi ritual with an impulse, we find ourselves without access to it, if we have 2 level 4s, we can go into Code Igniter and use it to ritual summon. So this is a versatility card, a card that we can get into when our opponent spent their interruptions on the Mitsurugi Ritual, thinking that they were going to stop us from ritual summoning that turn. We can turn 2 level 4 bodies into this, and then most likely tribute 1 level 8 in our hand for another level 8 that might be in our hand. So may not seem like the most powerful card at first read, but it does have versatility and usefulness in this deck. And then we are playing 1 number 90 Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord. All of our rituals are level 8. So again, you can build a board that may consist of a Futsu, a Habakiri, and a Murakumo. You can overlay that Habakiri and Murakumo into number 90. Use its monster effect negate on your opponent's turn, detaching the Murakumo. And then when they summon something, you can use Futsu to bring back the Murakumo. So you didn't lose that piece of disruption on your board. You gained 1 by going into number 90 and then bringing back the Murakumo later. So just a neat play you can do there. And then for the last card, Typhon. If you've seen some of my other deck profiles, you know I like to include this card whenever possible. The ability to bring this out in simplified game states can just win you games if you know how to use it correctly. So any deck that can fit it in the extra deck, I think it should be in there. The only excuse to not play this card is when you're playing something like Malice, where the extra deck is just too tight to realistically fit this card. And that does it for deck profile, everybody. I'm really excited for Mitsurugi's format. I think it's great to see a TCG exclusive archetype that finally has some potential to be top tier. It's been a while since we've seen anything that's been truly competitive on the TCG exclusive side. So I'm really excited to see where this deck goes. Expect me to be back with more Mitsurugi variants. And let me know in the comments if there's a variant that you want to see, because I would absolutely love to bring you as many Mitsurugi deck profiles as possible in this format. As always, like, subscribe, and keep an eye out for more Alliance Insight content coming soon. Thanks, guys.